While I turned 27, my wife said she forgot, then checked into a hotel with another person, so I sent. She claimed she had brunch, rented a hotel room, and vanished. I thought about confronting her in the lobby, but I'm Jake, 27, and on the morning of my 27th birthday, my wife Mara looked me in the eye, said she'd totally forgotten, grabbed her purse, and disappeared. So I ended up sending a cake to the hotel room she was holed up in and signed the note. Happy birthday to me. Enjoy the divorce. We chatted about this birthday for months. Nothing huge, just one of those silly milestones I'd hyped up because I kept saying I wanted to feel like I'd built a real life by 27, something you could raise a glass to. That morning I woke up to absolutely nothing. No card, no joke candle, not even a lazy hey. She stood at the kitchen island scrolling her phone like I was some random contractor who'd wandered in without an appointment. I'm running late. Brunch with friends, she muttered while air-kissing the room. On a Tuesday, she'd even taken the day off. For my birthday. See you tonight, she said, and the door tapped shut like the last period on a sentence I didn't want to read. I sat there holding cold coffee, trying to figure out if she was being scatterbrained or if this was something sharper. Family and friends poured in with texts, my brother, my mom, even an old roommate who still owes me a frying pan. Everyone remembered except my wife. I kept convincing myself that she had some big surprise planned, maybe a dumb banner or a cake shaped like a 27. By 4 in the afternoon, every shred of optimism keeled over on its own. We share our locations. Her idea, she said it made her feel safer when she traveled, so I checked the app. Her little dot blinked downtown, not at a restaurant or spa. A hotel. The kind that smells like it's sworn an oath to keep secrets. My stomach felt like an elevator with cut cables. I called her, straight to voicemail. I could have marched down there and hammered on the door like some drama extra, but instead I took a breath and let the pettiness win because it felt cleaner. Hi, this is a weird request. I told the front desk, my wife's staying with you, and it's my birthday. Can I send a cake up to her room? The clerk lit up like she'd been waiting her whole shift for romantic nonsense like this. Of course, she said. Name? I gave it. Clack, clack, clack. Room 304. Message? I stared at nothing for a few seconds and finally said, Happy birthday to me. Enjoy the divorce. The silence on the other end was so heavy I could almost hear her blink. Sir, are you sure? Absolutely. $65 and my card number later. The fuse was burning. I left a voicemail for a divorce attorney a coworker had once mentioned. Hi, I need a consultation. After that I sat on the couch with a beer, the remote untouched, my phone face up like I was waiting for it to explode. At 5:43 my screen lit up like a slot machine. First Mara called. I let it ring. Then again. Then again. Her texts piled up. What the hell? Why would you do this? Call me now. I screenshotted the whole tower. She switched tactics, and suddenly a new number was calling. A woman's voice, sharp and theatrical, snapped. What is wrong with you? And you are? Her friend. She said, you just humiliated her in front of everyone. Everyone. I thought it was just you two. Dead air. Then she hissed. You're a psycho. She deserves better. Great. She can have better without being married to me. Click. At 7 the attorney called back. I gave him the short version. He made a noise somewhere between a cough and a laugh. So you sent a divorce cake to a hotel. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., bring financials. By 9:30 the next morning, the front door cracked open and Mara burst in with wide eyes and a voice pitched like she expected a jury to be seated behind me. What the hell was that? I took a slow sip of coffee. A cake. For my birthday. Since you forgot. I didn't forget, she insisted. I was planning a surprise for the weekend. Oh yeah? Which hotel was the surprise booked at? The color drained out of her face. It's not what you think. Really? What do I think? We were just, she swallowed hard, hanging out. Friends. Room 304 under your name, I said, standing up. Happy birthday to me. Enjoy the divorce. Her mouth opened, but only air came out. Good, I said quietly. Now we can finally talk. She planted herself in the doorway like she was guarding a kingdom. You humiliated me. You abandoned me, I said, on my birthday, at a hotel where cake now lives. It was a girl's day, she tried. With room service and check-in under your name? I pointed at her keys on the counter, sitting there like evidence. I didn't snoop through your phone or purse. I sent frosting. That's it. She tried the righteous head tilt. You tracked me like a creep. You insisted we share locations, I said, for safety. Funny how it actually worked. Her jaw clenched like a broken vending machine. Nothing happened, she said. Wonderful, that makes this easy. What does that mean? Tomorrow at 9, I'm meeting a lawyer. I watched the realization hit her. People can switch from outrage to negotiator faster than a light flips. Jake, wait, can we please talk? The please came out like it hated leaving her mouth. We are talking, I said. You forgot 27. You picked a hotel over me. Even if nothing happened, you still cast your vote with your feet. She blinked hard and headed toward the hallway. I'm taking a shower. In the guest bathroom, I said. I'm sleeping there tonight. She stared at me like she was searching for the old me. The fixer, the apologizer, but he walked out the door with that cake. The lawyer's office had that polished wood and leather setup that basically says, we know this sucks, have a coaster. He looked mid-40s, dry humor, the sort of guy who could slice an avocado open with a legal pad. Walk me through it, he said. So I did. The empty birthday morning. The hotel. The cake. The text barrage. Saying it out loud surprised me with how steady I sounded. I'm not trying to torch her whole life, but I'm not interested in being plan B to a room number. He tapped his pen. Good news, you're calm. Court's like calm. Assets. House in both names. I put down 80% from my grandfather's life insurance, and I can prove it. He nodded. Separate property used for down payment. Commingled title. Not fatal. We'll trace it. What else? I cleared my throat. Pinball machines. His pen froze. I'm sorry. I restore vintage pinball machines, I said. 6 fully restored in the garage, 2 in progress. Bought mostly before we got married, all with my own money. I saved receipts, serial numbers, repair logs. Current value around 45 grand for the finished ones, maybe another 15 once the builds are done. He actually smiled. You're my favorite client this week. Document everything. Photos, serials, before and after shots, receipts, dates. The more paperwork I stacked up, the fewer arguments anyone could make later, and I already had binders filled to prove I was that kind of guy. Be that guy louder, my attorney said. And for the love of sanity, stop sleeping under the same roof if you can help it. The clearer the boundaries now, the fewer dramatic bedtime stories she can spin later. And do not, under any circumstances, argue or text without saving every last word. I headed home feeling like I'd been sent off with extra credit homework. Photograph every machine like they were newborns. Pull old statements. Track the down payment back to the start. I lined the garage floor with shop lights and started the saddest photo shoot known to mankind. Gorger sat there with that red demon artwork grinning like he knew the plot twist. 8-ball gleamed with that fresh playfield shine. The firepower prototype, the one I swore would financially ruin me, had doubled in value because nostalgia works like a balloon wrapped up in happiness. Halfway through snapping photos, my phone lit up with her mom's name. I let it ring twice before picking up, because somewhere under all this sarcasm, I'm still a Boy Scout. How could you do this to my daughter? She demanded. Send a cake? I asked. On my birthday? She made one mistake, her mother said. No, she made a choice, I told her. And she made it on a day she promised meant something to me. You're throwing away a whole marriage over frosting. Over priorities, I corrected. Please direct any future communication through her attorney. I kept it calm, kept it polite, hung up, blocked the number, and took a picture of another back box like it was going to testify in court. That night Mara came home with damp hair and a suitcase trailing behind her like a threat with wheels. I'm staying at my parents' for a few days, she announced with her chin raised. I hope it gives us clarity, I said, and I meant it. At the door she looked into the garage and saw all my machines lined up like soldiers, labels taped to their legs, serial numbers printed sharp on note cards. Those are half mine, she snapped. I couldn't help laughing. You called them garage trash last year because I left a power supply on the kitchen table. I tolerated them, she said. Your Honor, I said to no one. She tolerated my hobbies. Not funny. Neither is room 304. She slammed the door. The house shivered afterward, and I went back to cataloging until midnight, hands stained with old rubber dust. The kind of grime you earn by building things, not the kind you get from sneaking around and borrowing people. When I finally crawled into bed alone, I didn't spiral. I slept like a man who'd finally locked his own door from the inside. Morning meant paperwork. After that came truth. And soon enough, I'd know exactly who else had a key to room 304. 3 days later, the truth showed up. She called that morning. I ignored it. Then her dad called, which was new. "Son," he said in that voice dads use when they're trying to sound calm, but already bracing themselves. "She says there's been a misunderstanding." "There have been a lot of those lately," I said. He exhaled. "Look, I know she screwed up, but divorce? Isn't that extreme?" "Sir, with respect, she spent my birthday at a hotel with another man." The cake was the polite version of my options. Silence stretched out. Then he said quietly, "Yeah, I'd be pissed too." That night my brother called. "Ready for the rumor mill?" he asked. Turns out her coworker had told his girlfriend's friend, whose boyfriend's buddy at the hotel said the guy in that room was someone from her gym. They'd been talking for 6 months. 6 months. While I was ordering custom rubbers for a 79 playfield, she was apparently doing reps with her gym buddy. I texted her. "Gym guy for 6 months. Want to revise your story?" 3 dots showed up. Then, "Who told you that?" "It's a lie. Misa." I wrote, "You don't have a gym friend named Aaron?" "We're just friends," she said. "Just like you were just friends at the hotel?" Silence. "Nothing happened," she wrote. "We just talked." "In a hotel room you paid for on my birthday that you forgot?" I replied. No answer. At that point the lies weren't even shocking. They were almost entertaining. Next morning my lawyer called. "Got your wife's attorney's first demands. Half the house, half your retirement, half the pinball machines. She says they're worth 30 grand, and 3 years of spousal support." I laughed. She forgot my birthday, but remembered every dollar I own. He chuckled. "We'll counter. Machines are yours. Documentation is airtight. As for spousal support, short marriage plus her income kills it. The car in your name is annoying, but solvable." Then he added, "She's angry, not strategic. Don't meet her on emotional turf. Paper wins." So I went all in on paper. Receipts, statements, dated photos. My garage looked like an FBI evidence board minus the red yarn. 4 nights later she showed up again, unannounced, while I was elbow deep in my 8-ball deluxe with a soldering gun humming in my hand. "We need to talk," she said, voice cracking just enough to feel practiced. "Talk to my lawyer," I answered. "Stop being dramatic," she snapped. "I told you nothing happened." "Who was in the room, Misa?" She blinked too fast. "It was my friend's boyfriend's friend." "Right, the gym guy?" "Nothing happened," she repeated. "You spent my birthday in a hotel room with a man you've been messaging for half a year," I said, wiping my hands clean. "Even if you didn't touch him, you still picked him over me. That's worse." Her face shifted then. Guilt crumbled and revealed pure calculation underneath. "Fine. I want half. Half the house, half your machines, and spousal support. I make less than you." And there it was, the real heartbeat of our marriage. "Talk to my lawyer," I said again. "You're being vindictive," she hissed. "I'm being smart." Then she switched gears like she was flipping a switch. "Baby, please, we can fix this." "No," I said quietly. "You can't fix disrespect." She cried loud and messy, mascara streaking dramatically, but my mind stayed in the garage. By the time she left, I'd already made up my mind. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was restoration. Strip it down, rewire it, polish it, rebuild it. When she slammed the door, one of the chimes in the garage dinged softly, almost like applause. And right then I knew I was finished. 2 days later the papers showed up, the envelope thudding onto my doorstep like a brick wrapped in gold foil stamped Mesa versus Nathaniel Green, all dressed up in official fonts and official heartbreak. Inside were her demands written in that drained, self-important legal voice that somehow sounded both tired and greedy. Half the house, half my retirement, spousal support, car payments, and of course half the garage assets. I sat on the couch flipping through the pages and actually laughed out loud because she'd listed the pinball machines at a grand total of $30,000. This from the same woman who once said, "Why don't you sell those stupid things and buy something useful?" Now suddenly she wanted half of them. My lawyer's counter came back short and razor sharp. "She's going to hate it," he warned. Around that time the gossip started. My brother said mutual friends were concerned, and one even texted, "Hey man, maybe talk to her before you ruin everything?" Ruin everything? I thought. I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I didn't disappear on her birthday. I sent a cake, the budget version of closure. A few nights later the garage saved me again. I was reassembling Firepower's flippers when headlights flashed across the driveway. Her car. I planned to ignore it, but she let herself in anyway, smelling like perfume and nerves. "I'm just here to grab a few things," she said. "Go ahead," I muttered without looking up. She paused. You don't have to do this, Nate. Do what? Make me the villain. You already wrote that script in a hotel room. You keep saying that like you know what happened. I don't need proof, I said. I have patterns. You lied about where you were. You forgot my birthday. You called your mom before calling me. That's enough. Her eyes watered. You used to fight for me. Yeah, I said softly. And then you switched teams. She left again. No slam this time. Just the kind of quiet that says even the walls don't believe her anymore. Next morning, my lawyer called. Her attorney's tone shifted. He said, "They know your documentation is ironclad. Machines are safe. Tracing that down payment? Pure gold. Bet she drops the support request soon." Good, I said, fixing a loose joint. I'm not paying her to remember my birthday. A week later, everything flipped. A Facebook message appeared from a stranger, her profile showing a blonde woman captioned "Dog Mom, coffee addict, recovering from bad decisions." Hi, you don't know me, but I'm Aaron's ex. Aaron, the gym guy. Then came the story. She said she dumped him because of my wife. They'd been texting for months. Nothing explicit, she said, but my wife kept telling him she was trapped in a dead marriage. They met outside the gym. Screenshots available. Sorry you got dragged into this. The screenshots came through, flirty lines, heart emojis, you make me feel alive. Somehow worse than anything physical. I stared at them for a long minute, then forwarded them straight to my lawyer with one line. Add this to the file. He called right away. This helps us, he said. No fault or not. Emotional affair pre-separation kills spousal support. Good, I said. I'm done being the fool in this story. He paused. You're handling this better than most. I'm a pinball guy, I told him. I'm used to the ball bouncing all over the place before I hit the jackpot. That night, for the first time since the cake, I felt something close to peace. Not triumph, just the weight lifting. But the next round was waiting, and the twist was bigger than anything I expected. 5 weeks later, the whole thing had drifted from messy into flat-out absurd. The divorce crawled like a car with 3 tires. Her lawyer made demands. Mine countered, and every email ended with the same line. Please advise your client to remain civil. Sure, I thought, considering I was the one who remembered birthdays. Then came the knock. Late afternoon. I opened the door expecting paperwork or a courier. Instead, it was Misa holding her phone like a loaded weapon. Can I come in? She asked. No. Please, I need to tell you something. Say it from there. She took a shaky breath. I'm pregnant. Air evacuated my lungs. What? 2 months, she whispered. I just found out. My mind did the math instantly. 2 months ago. My birthday. Hotel night. Mine or his? I asked. Her face cracked. How could you say that? Pretty easily, considering room 304. It's yours, she insisted. We were together a week before that. You remember? I did. Once, half-hearted. You sure? Yes. Great. Get a paternity test when it's born. If it's mine, I'll step up. If not, that's on him. You're not even considering getting back together for the baby? Not even close, I said. A broken home beats a fake one. You'd let your child grow up without both parents? My child will grow up with a father who respects himself. That's more than this house ever had. Her voice wavered. I made a mistake. Can't you forgive me? Nope. I shut the door. She cried outside for a while. I turned the volume up. Next morning, my lawyer called again. She's using the pregnancy as leverage, he said. Wants the house, bigger settlement, full medical coverage. What did you tell them? Paternity test first, he replied. Her lawyer said that was insulting. Mine just laughed. Then she shouldn't have been in a hotel with another man on your birthday. Checkmate. The house sold that week. 62 grand apiece after closing. I moved into a small apartment near work. Not luxurious, but peaceful. No perfume ghosts drifting through hallways. No arguments rattling the drywall. Just my machines, my tools, and quiet that didn't blame me for anything. Moving the pinball machines was brutal. 6 hulking beasts of chrome and glass strapped into a truck like ancient idols. But once they were lined up in my new living room glowing and humming, the whole place felt alive again, like I'd finally found a steady heartbeat. That first night on my own, I powered up firepower, hit start, and let that old electronic voice yell fire into the empty room. And somehow it sounded like freedom itself. 2 days later, my lawyer called to say her attorney now wanted to reopen settlement talks, suddenly using the baby's supposed stability as a moral bargaining chip. My lawyer replied exactly as I hoped. Client is willing to discuss custody and support for his biological child only. Paternity test required. Then he leaned back, grin clear in his voice, saying he'd handled plenty of messy cases, but this one bordered on poetic. I hung up and went straight to my newest project, a beat-up 1980 Gorger machine, the first pinball with a synthetic voice. It only ever said one word, me, Gorger. And it made me laugh, because that felt like me now, a single voice finally speaking for himself. The next chapter was a mystery, but for the first time since that ridiculous cake, I was okay not knowing what came next. By week 7, the chaos softened into plain paperwork. That's when my lawyer called with that too calm tone that always means something absurd is coming. She's revising her offer, he said. Less spousal support, smaller bite out of the retirement. Probably because someone finally explained what separate property actually means. Translation? I asked. She knows she's cornered. Then he added, she's also pushing for compensation for tolerating your pinball collection. I nearly dropped my wrench. Tolerating? She claims the machines were emotionally burdensome and damaged marital harmony. I laughed so hard I scared the neighbor's dog through the wall. So she's suing me for having a personality? She's reaching, he said. Keep your records tight. And I did. Every receipt, every part replaced, every grainy garage photo of me covered in dust. If devotion counted as money, I was wealthy beyond reason. That Friday my brother texted saying she'd been showing people ultrasound pictures. You heard about that? My stomach twisted. She's what? Yeah, he said. Posted it on her story, cropped tight, so you couldn't see any patient info. Caption read something like, miracles show up when you least expect them. The timing didn't match. She'd barely be 2 months along, but the image looked further. My lawyer told me the same thing. Stock ultrasounds are common when someone's trying to gain leverage. That night, I sat staring at my machines glowing in the dark like judgmental elders. I didn't know whether she was lying again or telling a truth I didn't want, but I refused to drown in it. Instead, I worked on my next restoration, a rough 1979 Gorder that needed a whole playfield overhaul. Sanding, painting, rebuilding bumpers. The smell of solder and wood glue worked like therapy. When the flippers finally snapped back clean and sharp, I realized it was the first unforced smile I'd had in months. A week later, I had a few friends over, beer, pizza, laughing loud enough to shake loose the past. My brother brought his friend's sister Tess, a retro gaming nerd with quick jokes and eyes that didn't measure worth as you talked. We spent hours swapping stories about old arcade tech, board layouts, and how Space Invaders rewired culture. For the first time since everything collapsed, I didn't feel like a guy dragging baggage. I just felt like a guy with cool machines and cold beer. As she left, she said, text me if you need help repairing any of these. I'm handy with old circuits. Careful, I told her. That's the kind of talk that gets a man into trouble. She smirked. Only the good kind. After she walked out, I turned off every light except Gorger's single red eye blinking in the dark. It muttered its one word. Me. Gorger. And for the first time, I said back, me okay. Next morning, my lawyer called with a sharper edge to his voice. Nate, you'd better sit down. She just withdrew the pregnancy claim. What? Officially retracted, he said. Claims medical complications. No note, no test, nothing. So maybe it had always been a lie. Or maybe karma finally clocked in for a shift. Either way, that chapter was closed. And for the first time, I started imagining life after all of this, because I wasn't surviving anymore. I was rebuilding. 2 more months passed, and the circus quieted down. Drafts came and went, each one thinner than the last. Like even her lawyer realized the buffet was shutting down. I wasn't angry anymore, just worn out. Divorce doesn't keep you mad forever. It just teaches you new forms of tired. The day before mediation, my lawyer called. She's ready to settle. Half the house proceeds, 35% of the retirement earned during the marriage, nothing on the pinball machines. She still wants a year of spousal support at $500 a month. I leaned back. What do you recommend? Offer 0. You'll win. Full-time job, hotel fiasco, texts, false pregnancy. No judge rewards that. Do it, I said. When I hung up, I realized something strange. I didn't hate her anymore. You can't hate something you've grown past. Mediation felt like a funeral for old mistakes. She looked smaller somehow. Same perfume, same eyes, but none of the confidence she used to wield like a weapon. Her lawyer began with, My client has compromised in good faith and hopes to resolve this without hostility. Mine slid papers forward like a magician dealing truths. My client agrees. Half the house, 35% of retirement, no spousal support, no claim on separate property, each covers their own fees. She stared at me, waiting for a crack, but I didn't flinch. Her lawyer whispered to her. She nodded and said, "We can accept that." And just like that, it was over. Years of history signed into silence. When we stepped out of the building, she tried one last time. "Nate, I never wanted it to end like this." I paused at the doorway with my hand on the frame. "Neither did I, but you're the one who picked where it started to fall apart." She opened her mouth like she had something to add, then shut it again. Maybe there was nothing left worth saying. Nothing that could erase room 304. That night, I went back to my apartment and sat on the floor surrounded by the glow of my machines. The steady hum of circuits, the gentle click of steel balls, they sounded like someone closing a heavy book. My phone buzzed. "Tess, still need help with that Gorga project?" "Only if you're brave enough for solder burns," I texted back. "I like danger," she replied, laughing emoji included. I stared at that message a while. For months, every notification had meant panic. This one felt like air. "Saturday?" I typed. "Pizza and pinball?" "You had me at pizza," she said. When I shut the lights off, my reflection flashed in the glass of an old firepower. Tired, sure, a little older, but free. Not the guy who sent a cake out of spite, but the one who built something out of the wreckage. Maybe even someone who could enjoy birthdays again. The divorce finalized without drama. No courtroom theatrics. Just a stamp, a signature, and a door quietly swinging closed. I left the courthouse lighter, half relieved and half hollow. My lawyer shook my hand. "Congratulations, you're free." Free. The word felt unfamiliar, but good. That night in my apartment, I stood among my warm, blinking machines, things that never lied, never vanished, never shifted the story. I cracked open a beer, hit the flipper on firepower, and laughed when it barked, "Shoot again." Seemed fitting. Tess came by later with pizza and that easy smile of hers. We played for hours, trading stories, laughing until the machines drowned us out. No exes, no drama. Just two people learning how to breathe again. By midnight, I looked around my small place, full of light and noise, and thought, so this is what peace sounds like. Weeks went by and life slowly became mine again. No lawyers, no slammed doors. Just quiet mornings, coffee, and the patient hum of machines waiting for me in the garage. I kept restoring the Gorga, polishing its voice back to life. Felt poetic. Tess started coming by more often. She'd tease me whenever I got lost in the wiring. "You treat these machines better than most people," she joked. I smiled. They don't lie. One night, after she crushed my high score on 8-Ball Deluxe, she looked at me and said, "You know you're allowed to be happy again, right?" I didn't answer right away. I thought about the cake, the hotel, the moment everything snapped. Then I nodded. "Yeah, I think I finally am." For the first time since all of it, I didn't feel like the betrayed guy. I just felt like Nate again, alive, steady, building something real. My 31st birthday arrived quietly. No expectations, no tension, no mental countdown to disappointment. Just me, a few friends who cared enough to show up, and the soft neon buzz of my machines. My brother brought Tess, who walked in holding a homemade cake with messy chocolate letters. "Happy birthday, Nate." No hotels involved. Everyone laughed, including me. We spent the night running a mini pinball tournament, eating, drinking, yelling over the buzzers. At one point I looked around, friends smiling, Tess leaning against the Gorga cabinet, scoreboards glowing, and felt something I hadn't in years, simple joy. I hadn't reclaimed a marriage, hadn't chased revenge. I'd found peace, quietly and honestly. After everyone left, I stood in the neon hum and whispered to myself, best $65 I ever spent. Because that cake wasn't an ending at all. It was a restart button. A few weeks later, life didn't feel like a recovery arc anymore. It just felt normal. I moved into a new place, a bright little spot near the coast, sunlight hitting the machines just right every morning. Tess spent most weekends there, barefoot, coffee in one hand and a soldering iron in the other. One Sunday, she leaned over the newly finished Gorga and said, "You know this whole room is basically a museum of second chances, right?" I laughed. "Guess that makes me the newest exhibit." "Nah," she said. "You're the curator." And the strange thing was, I believed her. The blinking lights, the hum of the machines, even the scars on my hands, they didn't remind me of what I lost anymore. They showed me what I built back. When she hit the start button and the machine growled me, "Gorga." We both laughed because somehow that felt like us. Rewired. Working. Alive. Months rolled on and everything about my life shifted into something brighter. I stopped checking my phone for bad news. Tess and I started going to pinball conventions, old arcade halls full of neon, nostalgia, and people who could talk about circuit boards for hours. She fit in better than I did, joking with collectors twice her age, offering repair tips, even beating my high score on a 1978 Bally Playboy. "You're officially better than me," I said. She grinned. "Don't worry. I'll still let you fix them." One night driving home from one of those shows, she asked quietly, "You ever think that cake was the moment you took your life back?" I smiled at the road. "Yeah, I just didn't know it then." She squeezed my hand. "That's how freedom works. You only feel it once you're already gone." And in that moment, I realized I'd truly arrived. A year later, I leaned on the balcony railing, letting the ocean breeze roll through the night. Inside, the machines flickered like constellations. It was the first anniversary of the cake, my unofficial freedom day. I'd bake my own this time. No message, no sarcasm, just chocolate. Tess stepped out with 2 forks. "So are we celebrating your divorce or your rebirth?" "Both," I said, "but mostly the upgrade." We laughed, sharing cake straight from the pan, while Gorga blinked inside like a gentle heartbeat. For once, there was no bitterness hiding under the sweetness. I thought about that past version of me, the man staring at a hotel map, gut-punched, and felt nothing but gratitude for him. That man had sent a cake, and without meaning to, sent himself back to life. I looked out at the ocean and whispered, "Happy birthday" to me. And for the first time, it wasn't revenge. It was peace.